Hi, this is A. Wesley. That lady who tells it like a TIL. If you like my video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Topic I'm going to talk to you today about is bill collector. I'm a little behind on bill collector because so much other stuff was going on in the world and also in my personal life. But anyway, I'm trying to catch up on it as fast as I can. So this is episode one of Bill Collective called Poetic Justice. It starts off with the girls in their confessionals talking about a little bit of what happened last season and what they think might happen this season. And then it switched to the next scene, and the next scene was Lateshia getting ready to go film a pilot for her talk show. She said she always wanted to do a talk show. That was one of the things on her bucket list and stuff like that. And she had introduced the lady from Love and Marriage Huntsville. Her name was Stormy, and I know they had. I even did a Housewives TV on where it said she's supposed to be on Bill Collective. I think it's Alabama or something like that. So that was like a little crossover scene to get the audience to remember her from loving Marriage Huntsville, and also to get the Bell Collective audience interested in her. So that was a nice little scene. And after the scene, they got to talking, and she was saying that she was telling Stormy that she was having problems in her marriage, that she's trying to elevate, and Glenn don't seem like he wanted to elevate. And she was saying, yeah, I had some of those same problems. She said, but me and my husband worked them out. She said, he got to learn that just because you want to be an independent woman, you can do a little bit of both. And she was saying, yeah. And so it switched to the next scene. It switched to the next scene because that scene wasn't really that good. I didn't have too much commentary on that one. So it switched to the next scene. And the next scene was Kerri and her husband looking at venues for her birthday. And she said, by it being her 50th birthday, she wanted to have a birthday party. And he said, why don't you have it at this place? She said, no, that place is it's all right, but that place, I don't like it. It's a little bit, look like a little bit cheap. And he said, what about this one? Oh, he said, oh, that one look a little bit better. And then at the end, she finally picked the place that she said she didn't like for her birthday. And I kind of reason why she wanted her 50th birthday to be a big shindig, which it was, but I guess she went back and looked at she didn't have the budget for that fancy place that she wanted. But anyway, her and her husband got to talking, and she was saying, I want my birthday to have a '90s theme. I want to have everything be looking good and having fun and stuff. He said, who are you inviting? And Kerri said, I'm inviting everybody. You know, I'm inviting all of the bells. He said, you inviting all of the bells? He said, you sure they're gonna be able to get along at your party? She said, I want my party to be fun and have a good time. She said, I sure hope that Latrice and Lakeisha will behave at my party and be good. And I was saying, that's what you want. But you already know every time they have a party or some kind of event, something always break out. So Kerri, you should have just kept your mouth closed about that because your husband was right on that point. And then it switched to the next scene, and the next scene was the next scene was next thing was Glenn and Lakeisha talking to the counselor, but Glenn had talked to the counselor first because he was saying the counselor is also his friend, and he was saying he looked at that counselor man as as a father figure, and so he went to talk to the counseling man, and the man said, "Last time you came here, you told me that you and Letitia was on better terms." He said, "What happened? What happened?" He said, I really kind of don't know what happened, but what it is, Lakeisha been working. She been working. She didn't have no time for me. She didn't have no time for me and the kids and stuff like that. And he said, don't you want Lakeisha to be working? Don't you want Lakeisha to be having her own money? And he said, well, I'm so used to taking care of everything. I'm so used to take care of everything and stuff like that. I wanted to be the same. I wanted to be the same. And he was saying, can't Lakeisha have her own money and do her own thing and still be a good wife to you? He said, well, No, I don't think so. And then in his confessional, Glenn gonna tell me he's a traditional man, where the man's supposed to take care of everything. Yeah, you back in the old days, you back in the 80s and 90s. In 2026, it's in 2026, couples are sharing responsibility with stuff and stuff like that. It ain't like back in the old days when a man did all the work and the woman stayed at home. That's what you want, Glenn, because that's a little kind of controlling thing. And that counselor was trying to tell Glenn that in a nice professional way, but Glenn didn't want to hear it. So Lateshia walked in, and when Lateshia walked in, she said, "Hey, how you doing?" She said, "I'm doing all right." He said, "What's going on with you and Glenn? What's going on?" She said, "I don't know what's going on with Glenn." She said, "Me and Glenn was all right at first, and then Glenn had a problem with me. Glenn had a problem with me going back to work and doing stuff on my own. And I told him I'll still be able to do my own thing and have time with family and stuff." He said, "But Glenn don't think so." And that's our problem right there. And the man said, "Well, what I did advise Glenn that you could still be his wife and have your own thing and be with the family." And he said, "But Glenn really don't think so." She said, "That's the problem. He don't think so. He wants me to spend all my time just staying at home with the kids and stuff." As I said, I didn't done that. I didn't been there for years. It's time for me. And she said that's the problem that we have. Glenn think that if I do my own thing, and Glenn think that if I do my own thing and be my own thing, that I'm gonna leave him. I'm not gonna leave him. I just want to do my own thing. I say, Lakeisha, if you was gonna leave him, you would have left him 10, 20 years ago, all the years he been cheating on you. So you right about that part. But the only reason why Glenn don't want Lakeisha to have her own thing and elevate herself, because he's scared that he's not just scared of Lakeisha leaving. He's scared of the control, because he know once he had all of the money and stuff like that, he would have been. Let me stop this video. Okay, I'm back. The next scene was Marie talking to her daughter, and Marie told her daughter that because her daughter, she asked her daughter how she was doing. Her daughter told her that she was doing okay, but she was wondering why her daddy hadn't called her. And then Marie told her that she had found out that her daddy was still seeing his ex-girlfriend while he was dating her and stuff, and she wasn't gonna tolerate that. And then her daughter Zora said, "Well, now, mama, you're not supposed to tolerate that if daddy was doing that to you." And you could tell that little girl was sad about that and stuff like that. But what Cedric thought, he thought he could play, he thought he could have his cake and eat it too. He wanted to play both ends against the middle. He wanted to have Marie, I guess, as a side piece, and then still be talking to the other lady. I don't blame Marie. I would have left Cedric too. And then switch to the next scene. And the next scene was Lakeisha, and Lakeisha at her house with her new friend Shantae, and she was trying on different outfits for the party. And she said, "How you like this? Supposed to be a 90s version?" And she said, that don't look good. She said, "What about this?" And she said, "That look more like the 70s right there." She said, "Let me help you pick out something." She said, I think this black leather coat and these black leather pants and this shirt right here look more of the 90s than what you was picking out." And she said, "Try it on, let me see." She said, "Yeah, let me try it on." She tried it on and said, "This is the right one, this is the right one." Next thing you know, the doorbell rang and Marie walked in and said, "Oh, come in, Marie. How you doing?" She said, "How you doing, Shantae?" She said, "What's going on?" And the teacher said, "We just picking out outfits for the party." Say, "Did you get an outfit?" She says, "Yeah, I got an outfit. My outfit right here." And then the teacher said, "Well, let me see it, Marie." Marie showed her outfit. And she said, "How you like my outfit?" And then Lakeisha said, it looks good, look all right. And she said, what about you, Shantae? Shantae said, it's all right. But I wouldn't wear it. I wouldn't have picked it out. She said, oh, go on. She said, we say, she said, I got to go anyway. She said, okay, thank you, Shantae, for your advice. And Shantae left. And then it was just Marie and Lakeisha. And Lakeisha was saying, what's going on with you, Marie? How everything going? And they showed the spread back and when she was calling, talked to her, she told me she knew what talk about. She said, what's going on? She said, I broke up with Cedric. She said, huh? You broke up with Cedric? She said, yeah, because I found out Cedric was still talking and seeing his ex-girlfriend after he told me he had quit her. She said, oh, I'm so sorry having you, Marie. Marie got the crying stuff. She said, everything gonna be all right, Marie. And Marie said, well, I sure hope so. And what is Lakeisha and Marie going through the same thing. The only thing difference between them is that Marie is not married to Cedric no more. But and that's why she divorced Cedric. That's why she divorced Cedric in the first place because he was cheating on her. And then after that, switch to the next scene. It switched to the next scene, and the next scene was Kerri at the venue, and she throwing her party, looked real good, looked real good. It was great. It was great. And then next thing you know, all the ladies and people started coming in, and Kerri was at the door greeting everybody. So yeah, I'm glad. And this person said, "Ooh, Kerri, you look good." Kerri had on a white long white shirt and some blue jeans and a blue jean jacket, and so she invited everybody to the party. And then so somebody said, "Ooh, there go Latrice." I didn't think Latrice was coming because Lateshia was gonna be here and she was saying, well, I'm surprised she came too. That's what Selena was saying. And Selena said, I hope everything work out for him. I hope everything work out because I'm friends with both of them. I'm friends with both of them. And I want everything to work out what she was telling Kerri. And so Latrice came over and said, hey, how you doing? How y'all doing? She said that to Selena, Marie, and Kerri. And Kerri said, yeah, we're doing all right. And then Kerri said, Marie, where's Cedric? And she said, huh, Cedric? She said, I don't know where Cedric at. She said, well, Cedric ain't here. She said, well, I still don't know where he is. She said, where he at, Marie? And then Marie said, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. And then so, Tambria said in her confession, something is going on. Marie don't want to talk about it. Marie don't want to talk about it. So lots of stuff going on. And then Kerri said in her confession, she said, yeah, uh, the math ain't mathing. Marie was with Cedric last year bragging on him, and now she not with him. So Marie with Cedric. So Marie without Cedric equals single. Marie is single, and so when she got back to his name, she said, "Oh, you don't want to talk about Marie." She said, "No, I don't want to talk about. Let's talk about something else." And then so and then so Latrice was over there, and she was over there talking to Selena, and she saw from the corner of her eye, she saw Glenn walk up to Clip, and he said, "How you doing, man? You all right?" And then Cliff said, man, I'm catching all the heat from you. He said, man, what you mean catching all the heat? He said, I'm catching all the heat from you. He said, about both our wives arguing and going at each other and stuff with Lakeisha and Latrice is affecting me. He said, Latrice don't want me talking to you. And then Latrice came up, what's going on? What's going on? And then so Glenn said, it's like that. And Lakeisha said, come on, Glenn, didn't I tell you to come on? He said, man, I told you, you gonna choose your wife, I'm gonna choose my wife, I got to go ahead and go. And then that's when Glenn said, it's like that, it's like that. He got talking real loud. He said, I ain't know it's like that. And then Lakeisha came on there, what's going on over here? What's happening over here? And then so Glenn said, well, uh, Latrice don't want me talking to Clip. And like I told Clip, we ain't got nothing to do with y'all business. That's between you and her. And then so Latrice came over there. Didn't I tell you to come on, Clip? Clip came on. And then so Kerri said, what's happening? What's happening? And she said, Kerri, I'm sorry. Me and Clip are gonna leave and stuff. And she said, why y'all leaving? And then Cliff said because she don't want me talking to Glenn, she don't want me talking to Glenn and stuff and stuff. Cause there's stuff going on with her. Lakeisha, she said, "This is my party. I want everybody to be at my party. Come on, Latrice, let's come on and have fun, have fun." And then Latrice was trying to leave, and she came up back. Latrice know if she would have left, she wouldn't have got paid and stuff like that. So what it is, episode one was good. Bell Collective and stuff like that. I don't know how long this feud is gonna go on, but I hope it don't be the whole episode. But like I said, the first episode was pretty good to me. I'll probably do 2 and 3 in my next video. That's all I have for this video. This is A Wesley. That ain't even tested like a TI is. I am out.